feeling about your work. And I think a lot of projects go bad because you're missing that feedback.
Big name clients, if you can get those as an individual, you eliminate a lot of doubt. Like a big marketing campaign that's complicated, you have to really think about a lot more than just what things look like.
To go. How's it going, Ian? How's your day going?
It's going well, man. Thanks for asking. I'm excited to hop on here. How you doing?
I am doing good. It's one of those weeks that's just like trying to get back to the grind of like looking for clients. So
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of space. So there's a lot of space to like mess it all up. But
Or a lot of space for it to go right.
yeah. But we'll go with that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
how's your workload looking this week?
Oh my God, it's excessive. It's been excessive for like 2 months now. So it's a good thing, obviously, but when I get the downtime, I'm going to cherish it a little bit more, I think.
Nice. That's good. That's a good thing to hear. Like I definitely feel that though. Like when you're busy, it's just like when you're not busy, you're just so excited to be busy. You're like, "Oh, I can't wait to be busy again. Can't wait to be busy again." And I'm like, I feel like next time that I'm not busy, I should just take a week and just be like, "Well, I'm taking this week and I'm going to go do something else with my life." So that's what I want to start doing now.
Yeah, I think it's a good excuse to like tap into certain things that maybe aren't work related, you know?
Yeah.
You can only do so much to if you're trying to get more clients and they're not coming in, it's only so much you can do, you know?
100%. Because it's all at the speed of what everybody else is doing, and sometimes everyone's doing the same thing at the same time, meaning that they're not spending any money. So that's
Yeah, yeah.
just sometimes how it goes. But yeah, what are some of those things that you do on your downtime? What are things that are fun for you outside of like work and design?
I lately I've just been trying to tap into all these things I did as a kid for fun. So like I used
Okay.
to play guitar growing up and I just stopped for like 20 years. And so I just got a new guitar recently to try to pick that back up. Spend a lot of time outside,
Yeah.
I'm in Minnesota, so summer is like the only time of year where it's nice out. So try to swim like once a week at a lake or something. Just get outside every day, hike. Um, yeah, do a lot of like collaging with old magazines and stuff. So
Yeah,
just things that kind of, feed the inner child and
for
just bring
sure.
me joy outside of work.
Yeah, I've seen some of your collage work. There's been a couple times where I'm like, is this even collage? Like, where is he even pulling these elements from?
Yeah, I
So
have like,
cool. Like,
thank you, bro. I have like two separate, so I do like digital collages, which is probably what you're referring
okay,
to.
okay,
And for those, I'm like, I want them to look as real as possible, even though it's like a surrealistic concept.
yeah,
Um, but then, like for fun, I have a bunch of like Life magazines from the 60s and 70s, and I'll like just cut and paste like a true collage. I don't really post that stuff, but it's just kind of like what
hmm
I do for fun. But yeah, there's kind of two sides of that.
yeah. That's fire. Would you consider yourself? I know we do like branding and design as like a career. Would you, before all that, consider yourself an artist? Like when you were a kid, did you call yourself an artist?
No, definitely not. I
That
mean,
was a long
bro, I,
time.
I can't even draw, bro. Like I literally cannot
Okay.
draw for the life of me.
Yeah.
So I guess to like I used to do photography before I did graphic design, and so that was like middle school into like college. So that was when like I would say I was a little bit more creative. But yeah, like truly traditional like art with pencils or paints or anything like that. Like I'm so bad to this day still. It's kind of fun to try it sometimes, but did not come from that. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's so wild. Yeah, and that's something that I've been exploring. Again, this podcast is about like chatting with creatives, and it's so interesting the fact that like I find that a lot of designers are like, yeah, I can't draw a lick, like I can't do,
Yeah.
and it's like we do something that sometimes does take some like illustration or some like drawing, like laying out type skills. Um, but it's interesting what you like align yourself with when it comes to creativity.
Yeah, like when I started graphic design, I was like super into the illustration side of things. And so
Same.
I would learn, I guess for me, it's like since I started doing that when I was graphic designing, I wouldn't have to draw like a perfect circle to make something, you know? It's like I
Yeah.
can just use the shape tool and stuff like that. So like I can illustrate on a computer pretty decent.
Hmm.
But yeah, when it comes to like pen and paper, like I just like never did that. So it's like my brain works digitally for those kind of things, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel the same way. That reminds me of like when I first got Photoshop. Like when I first got my a copy of Photoshop, I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Like
Yeah.
this is the little bit extra that I need to like actually like let it all like flow out. But it's again, I think I find it so interesting what we all like gravitate to. Design is so broad, and it's like very interesting because it is broad and like small at the same time. Like people really
Yeah.
in their mind they're so closed off to what design is. Like let's just talk like in graphic design terms. They're so closed off to what like design and graphic design is that like I feel like we don't reach for like outside of some of these mediums like in doing things kind of some different ways. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's so there's so many different types of graphic design, you know. There's like
mhm.
the UX, UI side of things.
Yep.
There's the more just true graphic side of things. Then you start getting into print and digital, and there's
Yep.
just so many little pockets you can really get into.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I'm just like, oh, any day of the week you can decide to do anything like
Yeah,
different or try
100%.
something new or go for a different technique. So yeah, it's really a fun place to be when you look at it as that. Um,
Yeah.
I want to kind of start with like, how did you find your way into branding? What started that for you?
Yeah, so it really all started with photography. So like I mentioned earlier, got into that like in middle school, and it was kind of just for fun. I mean, I did do like small photo shoots when I was like in middle school, like got my first
Yeah,
paid photography gig when I was like 14, did a concert. So I was hyped on that. But as I got older, I'm like, I just don't know if this is what I want to do, you know, for a career.
yeah,
Because I started to think about it like financially, and it's like you look at your options and you can do anything, obviously, but for like a low friction career, making money in photography, I feel like weddings are like a good way to go.
that's
And there's
yep.
certain like industries within photography that
Hmm.
make a lot of sense. And I just wasn't like interested in that really. So I was like, what can I do that is kind of creative, but also ties in my like interest for business and stuff? Because that's what I was going to college for, is just like general business.
Oh, nice.
And that's like when I literally found out about graphic design. Like I had never even thought about graphic design before, or even like knew anything about logos or fonts or anything like that. And
Hmm.
so I started looking into it in college. I'm like, you know, it is kind of takes what I like about photography with the creative expression stuff, but there's a lot more gateways into like business development through that. So yeah, it's kind of just I was like, oh, seems like a good like merge of like all these things I'm interested in. So I just like signed up for a graphic design major at my college, and it was like a marketing degree with a graphic design minor,
Okay.
basically. Because I was like more interested in business overall. And then yeah, I kind of just took over from there. I just never stopped.
Yeah, that's dope. I feel like we have the same. That's my take on it too. Um, I of course didn't go to college for design or like graphic design or anything, but now that this is where I am, I love the business side of it also, and like how we can kind of flex these, like turn these keys to make things happen, but also take that into the digital realm and like the visuals and the identity realm. I think that is such a good tool to have because again, branding and business go they're hand in hand most of the time. It's all about like gaining attention or creating an idea for someone else or putting like personality to something that doesn't a product or whatever or service.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So it's really cool that you have that background in like business before going into graphic design. Um, but like now, when it comes to let's say you're starting a brand, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I think overall it's like a huge advantage to like the business side and to like have that
Yeah.
understanding, like to use with your design skills, because a lot of creative freelancers and designers too, like they hate the business side of things, and it's like
Mhm.
it's not a bad thing, it's like just not everyone's cup of tea, but it
Yeah.
makes it a lot more discouraging, I'm sure, when you're like really trying to figure out a solution for a
Hmm.
client and you have to think past what does this look like aesthetically? Like if you're
Yeah.
in a deep, if you're like building a brand that's like pretty complicated or you're doing like a big marketing campaign that's complicated, you have to really
Yeah.
think about a lot more than just what things look like. So I think it's a great tool to have, and it's helped me not get like burnt out on it because I know like a lot of freelancers that get pretty burnt out on the
Yeah.
business side of things because they're like, oh, I just want to be creative and not have all these guardrails and not have to
Yep.
do all this admin stuff and all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff that comes with business. And so it's been a really big advantage for me that it's not only a passion of mine, but it's like it really goes hand in hand and it makes it interesting for me. So I can just tie that in with my actual graphic design work.
Yeah. I love that. I have freelance friends right now who are just like, they're like, I hate the business part. I hate going to find clients. I hate sending invoices. I hate following up. I hate putting timelines together. And I'm like you. I didn't necessarily know how to do all those things when I started, but
Yeah.
they don't bother me as much as like most people. So you do see how you can like, I think there's an opportunity to see into the business of your clients and understand how you can like help them even more than just the normal services of a traditional graphic designer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Well,
times when like they'll be like, "Well, we're having this problem," and it's not really a graphic design problem, but we can
yeah.
kind of talk through things like business or marketing wise. And we're like, this could be a cool marketing campaign or cool idea, and then we can go right into creating the visuals for it. So there's a lot of breaking down barriers. You're like more of a Swiss Army knife for people when you're able to do that.
Yeah. And one thing I've realized is clients half the time, maybe more, they don't even like know what they want. They're not even aware of the style they want or like,
Yep.
and it's like that's half the battle is being able to inform them and educate them on like, hey, you have this business problem. Here's how I can use design to create a
Yeah.
solution for that because a lot of times they need that guidance, It's not like they're just like, oh, here's my problem. Here's how I can fix it with graphic design. Now you do it for me. That's just like not how it goes in my experience. So
Yeah.
it's good to like solving those problems because that is like most of my job, I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun. It's fun to be that kind of mind for people. Um, when it comes to like creating a brand, do you have a strategy system or strategy process that you take your clients through? And if you don't mind sharing, what are some of those pieces that you touch on?
Yeah, I have a pretty solid system that I just follow for all my branding projects. So obviously it starts with like a discovery call and kind of just getting to know the client and stuff like that. But once we move past that, then I'll start working on like the scope of work and detailing out a timeline for each phase of the project. And so that's kind of like included with the contract. So then they sign off on that. And then that's when I start doing my research and stuff. And so what I do is
Mm,
I have created this questionnaire basically for my clients, and then I'll kind of customize it for whatever client I'm working with.
gotcha. Yeah.
And it just goes over like it shows them the different types of a logo. So there's like the word mark, the icon, kind of explains what they are, goes into font styles because a lot of people hiring a graphic designer don't know what a sans serif is or a
Hmm.
serif. So I just like show them like, hey, do you like this type of font or this one? And then on top of that, I ask a lot of questions about like what they view their brand as. Like one of my favorite questions I ask on there is if you could describe your business as an animal, what animal would it be?
Mm,
Same thing for like if you could describe it as a city in the world, what city would it
yeah.
be? And so like this guy I worked with recently is a software engineer kind of coach, and his city of inspiration was Seattle, just because it's so like techie and stuff like that. And so it gives a really good starting point of like, okay, now I see what the client is envisioning because like I said, a lot of times they don't know what they're envisioning or how to portray it, how to
Yep.
describe it. So that questionnaire is essential to like understand and get on the same page for both sides of us. So yeah, that's kind of the main piece there. And then after that, I just start the mood board
Hmm.
process, and they end up choosing one of the mood boards I present. And then that's when the actual like deep dive into research and iterating and brainstorming goes for the actual logo.
Okay, dope. Yeah. I love those questions. I think there's one that I use. If your brand was a celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, I like that.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I got Kevin Hart one time, and I thought it was hilarious.
It
So much
paints a
fun.
picture of like the persona that they like resonate with, was just so helpful from our end, you know?
Yeah, because that's that divergent thinking piece. Like you can really think
Yeah.
through by putting yourself into these other places, like cities or animals, or yeah. So it's really cool. I've even seen at my last agency, we would have like with our bigger clients, we would have situations like divergent thinking examples where it'd be like, well, if this process that you have for your website was another process that exists, what would it be? And there was one that was like, well, it's basically like going through TSA. So we used
Oh,
TSA
wow.
to lay out how they could go through creating the UX for their app. And like,
That's
it's
interesting.
just, yeah, like those opportunities to just think differently, leverage with something that you know and you've experienced, I think really makes a difference when it comes to like solidifying these ideas, especially for new businesses. I find, do you find that new businesses are hard to like create those frameworks for because they don't have as much experience in them?
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I
Yeah.
think in my experience, a new business, the hardest thing that I've dealt with is just how how do I say this? Just how many options there are, you know, and like if you're
Oh,
starting a business from scratch, you know, like if
yeah.
I'm doing a product with a logo and packaging, it's like there's just a million different directions you can go with it. And sometimes I think it's hard for someone that just started their first business to like find that lane or to find that focus, which is like part of our job for sure.
For
Um,
sure.
but I think it's more about that than it is the processes, in my experience at least. Just because a lot of the people I've worked with that start a business, they've come from like working at a different business, you know? So I
Okay.
feel like depending on that scenario, they sometimes have their systems dialed. But yeah, it's just figuring out like how to kind of rein them in a little bit to
Yeah.
like give them the best result in the end, because that's obviously the goal. But if you are so broad that you're looking at everything, it's going to be hard to like really make an impact.
For sure. Yeah. It's and that's where that again, I feel like as brand designers or designers in general, we're kind of like therapists and coaches where it's like we kind of have to be like, okay, we gotta bring it back. Like let's
Yeah.
this is how we gotta hit this thing. Or maybe you should think about it like this. Like there's a lot of like reframing and like taking and being like, well, in my opinion, that's how I think. I think this should go XYZ. Um,
Yeah.
so another thing that I'm always curious is like, how do you handle meetings? Like, do you have weekly meetings? Do you have meetings only at certain points in the process? Do you have no meetings? How do you kind of do that?
Yeah, so I guess it depends on the type of project. Like broadly speaking, everything I work on is either a branding project or a marketing project, like within design.
Yeah.
So the branding projects, there's always like when I present my logo options, like I'm always on a meeting with the client. And so if I'm doing a branding project, I'll meet with them typically like once a week or once every other week to go over the presentation or like the revisions. But for the marketing projects, it's kind of crazy. Like I barely have any meetings at all for my
That's
marketing
crazy.
clients, just because it's like we're in Slack or email or text, and it's like
Yeah.
sometimes we'll hop on a call. But I really like using Loom, those like videos where you can
Same.
walk through, because
Yeah.
it just like eliminates. I can tell them, hey, here's my thoughts, here's why I did this, and when they
Yeah.
can see it, half the time there's like, okay, makes sense. Like we don't
Cool.
need to have a meeting. Like, so I like that. I don't like to have excessive meetings. But
Yeah.
if I'm walking through a logo, like the options, I want to be talking with them, because a lot of times it's like if they see a logo and they're confused, I don't know, their mindset can go a different direction than you would like it to go. So
Yeah.
I like being on the call with them to be like addressing any concerns, kind of describing why I made certain decisions.
Hmm.
So yeah, once every week or other week for that.
Yeah. Got you. Yeah. I love. That's a good point. Like that's something I always tell like new designers is just like be careful with sending things through email with no context. Like
Yeah,
even
definitely.
writing, like writing the context out, a lot of people just don't have time to sit there and read paragraphs, but they will turn on a video at 2 times speed and listen through that quickly or something.
Yep,
So
exactly.
at the very least, lean on something like Loom. But I think, of course, the meeting is probably the best situation. In person, of course, being even better. You can kind of gauge reactions, see how people's body language. That stuff gives you a lot of insight into how people are actually like feeling about your work. And I think a lot of projects go bad because you're missing that feedback. Like you didn't get to see that twitch of
Yeah.
like when they looked at it, there was a little twitch, and they're like
Yeah, they're
weren't really
hesitating
feeling
or
it.
something.
Yeah, and you can't see that through an email that you just wrote out. So there's like sometimes there's information missing. So if you can close those gaps, especially with big clients or clients that you think might be repeat or very important to you, then it can help kind of solidify a relationship, which is what the whole game.
Yeah, it is crazy. I don't have like any local clients for me at all. Like I've like literally, so I've been running a
Dang.
business for almost 3 years now, and I've
Yeah.
had one client that's in my city, which is kind of crazy to think about.
That's crazy. I actually have the same experience. Mine
Yeah.
is like that too. I've worked with not like local clients in the branding sense, but I've had local clients in like working with local agencies, like partnering with them
Oh yeah.
to do stuff.
Yeah.
But like local clients is like not. It's something that I want to like explore and see if like is it me or is it the area, like what is it that's kind of the disconnect. Let me put a little energy into it and see kind of what
Yeah.
happens. But most of my clients are coastal. They're usually on the west coast
Same.
or the east coast, and I just
Yeah.
wonder if it's just like a price point thing. Like that's what I've heard a lot of times. Um,
Yeah. That's definitely my experience is like I tend to be charging like on more of a senior level. And
yeah,
in Minneapolis, just being in the Midwest in a smaller city, it's just not typically realistic for a lot of people that are looking for like a local option. So that's kind of how it's landed for me. I would love to work with more local clients, and I have put some more effort into that recently. But yeah,
yeah,
it is kind of weird. It's like all my clients are in LA and New York. It's crazy.
yeah. That's dope though. Yeah, I'm partnering with another designer, and we're doing some like she's also here, so we're doing some stuff in Phoenix together, and we were able to kind of go to a coffee shop and work on part of the like process together. So fire! I was like,
That's
this is
nice.
so
Yeah.
much better. So it's something that I'm like I want to do more of, but you're right. If the price point isn't there, you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean,
Um,
you have to make, I don't know, you have to kind of settle in some senses if you want to go that
yeah,
route, depending on what city you're in, because, certain cities have certain industries. And if you're
yep,
not like into that industry, it's like, do you even want to
yep.
be working with those local people? So there's a lot that goes into it, but that's a blessing of being in such a digital world nowadays.
For sure. The internet is I mean, it is what it is and but I feel like there is a lot of benefit to those types of things, making connections and being able to do business across the world is a big
Yeah.
blessing. Like it
Yeah.
is a big benefit. So, I wanted to talk about you've worked with some big clients. So I kind of wanted to talk about like how you feel working with those. I think it was Jagermeister.
Yeah.
I think can first let us know some of the bigger clients that you've worked with because I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I've worked with I have like Jagermeister on kind of like
Yeah.
not a retainer necessarily, but we work together every other month or so. Other big clients I've worked with like Dell, Intel, and NVIDIA on kind of like a collab
Oh,
project,
dope.
kind of on a recurring basis too, but less frequently. And then I've worked with brands like Campbell's Soup and Goldfish and some kind of like food beverage brands in
Dang.
that space.
Yeah.
So kind of random, all different industries, but yeah, they're fun to work with for sure.
Yeah, how, if you don't mind sharing, like how did you like create those relationships or make those partnerships with them?
Yeah, so honestly, it's like when I first got into graphic design halfway through college, I well, so when I was into photography, I was like, I want to work with big names. Like that's just something that inspires me, and like I get really motivated by seeing businesses succeed or seeing entrepreneurs
For
like
sure.
create something. So even when I was doing photography, I was like, I'm using Instagram because there's not a bunch of this stuff in Minnesota.
Hmm.
So when I got into graphic design, I was like, I had the same mindset, but I didn't have a portfolio like I had for photography. So I would like literally DM like 100 people a week, businesses or entrepreneurs, literally just saying like, "Hey, I love what you're doing," and it was like personalized, not just some like
For
spam
sure. Yeah,
message.
yeah, yeah.
I would send them this thing like, "Hey, been following you for a while, love what you're doing, getting into graphic design and need to build my portfolio. I'd love to help you out for free if there's ever anything that comes in mind for graphic design." And like honestly, no one took me up on it for like 2, 3 years probably because I just didn't have a portfolio. I just
You're
wasn't
new.
even
Yeah.
good. Like I was
Yeah.
trash, honestly. And so I'm glad they didn't take me up because I would have maybe tarnished my name a little bit if
For
I would
sure.
have got those opportunities right away. But all those people I DM'd, I would just like build the relationship. Like I had like a 5 to 10 year perspective on it. When I was sending those
Love that.
DMs, I'm like, this is a 5 to 10 year play. Like I'm not expecting to start working with this person today. So I would just build a relationship through Instagram. Like every time they drop a post, I would just comment like, "This looks fire, man. Like love what you're doing." Like just constantly build a genuine relationship. And then like all these years later, by the time I go to start my own business, I all these things just kind of lined up, and it's like
Yep.
the people. So like, do you know who Kid Super is?
Yeah, I love his. I've been getting into fashion recently, and I'm just like, I love his work. It's so good.
Yeah, so he's one of the people I DM'd, like one of the first people I ever DM'd when I got into graphic design. And like I said, it just wasn't good really, but I put it out there. And I used to like make these calendars I used to do photography and stuff, and I
Hmm.
would sell these calendars of like my photos basically. So I would send all these people I like admired, I'd send them all a free calendar every year, and I'd have like a handwritten note in there like, love to see your success, like so inspiring, blah, blah, blah. And I would do that for like 5 years straight. And then by the time I started my business, like the girl that was Kid Super's assistant back when I DM'd him, she was working at Jagermeister at that time. And so like that's how I got that job. She just knew me from 5 years of like sending this
That's
guy calendars and
crazy.
stuff. And that's like literally all my clients came from like those type of scenarios.
That is crazy.
It's
I
definitely an
love that
unorthodox
so
approach,
much.
and
That's
it
such
was
a
like it had to be a long-term play. You know, it's like those kind of things are not going to happen quickly. But I just
mhm.
had faith, like I'm just going to put all this stuff out there, and then like 7 years later, all those people I was DMing and stuff, they're working at like big companies and stuff, and so they were like, "Hey, we can give you a shot. Like you've been trying to help us for so long. Like I want to give you a chance," and that's kind of where it all started.
Dang. I thank you for sharing that. That's huge. I
Yeah,
think that's what's missing for like for a lot of people is I've done some of that stuff too. Like when I first started, I DM'd a lot because I was like, I just don't know. Coming from engineering into here, I just didn't know what it was. So I did a lot of
yeah,
DMing for like mentorship or like peer mentorship, trying to learn from people. But I think
yeah,
your story is having the that vision to see that like this isn't a today play or even a next year play. This
yeah.
is my future business play in 10 years. And I that foresight, like being young and having a foresight like that is like that's crazy. Like there's
Yeah,
like everyone wants instant gratification, and to put out like it out that far is really cool. So I love that you shared that.
yeah, thanks, man. Another thing I would do in that kind of same time was like I wanted to work with musicians and stuff that I really
Yeah.
liked. So, for example, like Kendrick or Schoolboy Q or whoever,
Hmm.
and I knew like, bro, I cannot get in contact with Schoolboy Q or Kendrick, and so what I would do. which is funny to look back on. I would go to their Instagram, see who they're following, find the person with like the least amount of followers, and build a relationship with them. And then, like, with the goal to be like, I want to be in that circle. And
Yeah.
one of those people, like, ended up being actually a couple of them ended up being like long term connections that I still talk to and work with today. But the guy I was trying to like get in contact with Schoolboy Q. He was like his photographer or something, videographer maybe. And then I built a relationship with him, and he ends up being Beyonce and Jay Z's like personal videographer now. He does like their documentary, their tours, like everything. And I've worked with him
Dang.
like multiple times, and we're like super close now. And it's like that's crazy. I think I just like DM'd you because you were connected to Schoolboy Q 7 years ago.
That's crazy. Well, that's smart. I do some of that stuff too. Sometimes I'm like, is this, should I be doing it like this? Like, is this
As long
okay?
as you have like good intentions, like I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
like mooch off him, it's like I just want to
For
help him
sure.
and
Yeah.
be in a good relationship with them.
Yeah. And sometimes I just have such reverence for like talent, man. I just want to be around people who are like I just want to watch you be talented. Like I just want to watch you like kill the thing that
Yeah.
you're super passionate about. That's why I do this podcast because I get an opportunity to kind of like sit there and like chat with people and really get to know where their passions lie. But that's
Yeah.
dope. Like I've been hearing a lot of stories of people who are like, yeah, just get creative about like creating physical products that you're able to kind of
Yeah.
send and grab attention with. Like there was one guy he told me he took his resume and he blew it up to the size of a poster and shipped it to a company he was interested in.
That's
And now
sick.
they had like, like you can't ignore things like that. And he said with another one, he took it and he like miniaturized it and sent them a magnifying glass.
Oh my
And
God,
like
that's
now
so
you gotta,
sick.
and I'm like, dang, those are all really cool and really fun. Like it just
Yeah.
shows in we were talking about people being burnt out about business and marketing. There's some fun stuff you could do if you just took a beat and like maybe reframed it and looked at it differently. Like you with the calendars.
Yeah.
That is really smart. And you're doing something you're passionate about and then also using it to leverage hopefully work in the future, which is really cool.
Yeah. And I think the big thing with that is like just don't expect anything in return, and like
Yeah.
don't be set on like, oh, like I hope all these calendars pan out. It's like you have to
Yeah.
just be doing it because you just want to put yourself out there, not because
Yep.
you're like expecting something to happen. Because I think that's where it gets a little disingenuous, if you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm be pissed if I wasted all this time and money on these calendars. It's like
Okay.
you just have to be like, yeah, I'm just doing a good thing, giving
Yeah.
this calendar to someone, and hopefully they like it, and maybe something will happen 5 years later.
Yeah. I agree. So that is I feel like you just gave the like best advice. So I don't even want to touch anything else from there. That was really good. Um, let's talk about something a little bit different.
Okay.
Um, if you let's talk about like the business side of things a little bit more. Uh, is there anything in your business that you do feel is like really hard that you really do have a hard time with?
Hmm. I think the hardest thing for me is like, and I've talked to you about this so many times, like, I'm always like debating, do I bring someone on to help with some of this stuff? And it's like, you're literally my number one guy. Like, and I feel bad
Yeah.
because I've hit you up all these times and it just doesn't work out.
Hey,
Um,
I just
it's
know that
some,
that's part of the game.
yeah, that's something
Yeah.
I struggle with though, because it's like
Yeah.
in those situations, you're like, you have to have enough of a timeline to like hand it off to someone else so then
Yeah.
like you can review it and like then bring it to the client, and it's like a lot of things that need to go right for it to work out. So that's something I've had trouble with. Like I've literally never outsourced anything because I
Oh,
just like
interesting.
never feel like it's the right time, or the client like just doesn't have their mind made up on certain things. So that's definitely something I struggle with. And I just also don't know. It's like if I get into the business of outsourcing, then it's like half my time is spent managing people, which is
Yeah.
not really what I got into business to do. So that's something I struggle with, is just knowing, do I keep doing this myself and, you know, just take on the workload I can handle, or do I try to scale and bring people in, but then I'm just not doing as much of what I want? So I think that's my biggest struggle.
Yeah, I right there with you. I feel like I'm in that same moment too. It's kind of like you have to the work still has to be done, and it's like these different ways that you're just so open to these different ways of being able to do it. Like so I've been talking a lot to like I talked to Amy Hood the other day. I talked to I don't know if you Hannah Smith at a Trust Design Shop. We kind of talked about like small studios and like there's like it feels like the small studios are really doing a great job of keeping their finger on the pulse, and like the people who own them are still doing the work, like majority of the work. Yes, they might be like outsourcing some stuff, but you can tell that their flavor is being like added to like all projects, and they're still in Illustrator, they're still in InDesign, they're still in
Yeah.
Photoshop. So I think there's like a new like not a new hybrid coming, but they represent a hybrid of like being able to bring people in, but not as employees. They're just staying small with like the couple of them, and then just bringing in freelancers to help that them in what they need. But I do get what you're saying, where it is hard to like with the runway of that of like, okay, now I have to watch this person do this thing, or I have to explain it to them perfectly to where they get what I need out of them and they get my vision without like having to do a bunch of touching. So it's I've
Yeah.
done the way where you kind of like bring in an intern and you try to like give them some of the work. I've done that twice now. I've brought an intern and I'm like, hey, I'll work on this part of it. You work on this part of it. Usually the beginning portion, like a first look, or the closing part of it, like a brand guide or something, and
Yeah.
exporting. But like giving them those smaller pieces that are like more tedious to you and kind of not worth your time is kind of the route that I've gone. But full transparency, it is still messy. Like it still feels
Yeah.
really hard to pull off and like get them all the information that they need.
Yeah. That's where I feel about it too. It's like, and I'm a super like organized, dialed type person with
Okay.
like my work. And so it's just like I literally get anxious thinking about, oh,
Yeah.
I gotta hand this off to someone I've never worked with, and like, what if the file's messy, and then there's like an
Yep.
emergency, and I have to do it, and it's just hard. And I always debate. It's like when you do the numbers, it's like, would you rather make 100 grand yourself and you're not paying anything, or would you rather make 150 but you're paying someone 50, but then
Yeah.
you're making the same money, but you're not doing what you want. And so that's where I'm
Interesting.
just like, I think for me, it's like I'd rather run a more lean business and just
Hmm.
have like a lower revenue, but I have like I'm not paying anyone, you know? So it's
For
like,
sure.
it's the same numbers. It's just like the way I do it now is like I can just spend, like I design seriously like 90% of my week. Like I barely ever do anything besides design, really. So I
Dang.
like that, and I
Hmm.
kind of want to keep it that way. There's not a lot of admin work since I'm not working with other people. It's just pretty efficient the way I do it, and so
For sure.
I'm leaning towards staying like that. But I've run it through my head multiple times, and I'm like, some days I feel that way, some days I feel the opposite, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're viewed by possible clients that is a hindrance that it's only you? Because that's something that I now we're talking about those things that like that I feel like in my business that is something that I get viewed a certain way. Like when I go to get business, and then when you're also viewed as like a single person, they're like, oh well, that's just one person. I can go down the street and get an agency who has a whole team. Do you feel like that you're ever viewed like that?
Yeah, I've debated it a ton, honestly, of like if I should be like an
Okay.
agency, you know, and like
Yeah.
position myself as that. And I think for me specifically, because of how like all the Instagram DMs from 8 years ago,
Hmm.
that's like all like my face on it. You know what I mean? And like those
Yeah.
relationships were built with my name. Like my Instagram's always
Yep.
been just my full name. And so at this point, like I'm just keeping it like that because of how I got to this point. I
For
think it just
sure.
makes more sense. Like these connections just know me as Ian Deloney. They don't know me as some other name, you know. So
Yeah.
I think it really depends on how you get to running your business and then like where you want to go.
Mm,
And I think for me, it works to be an individual. Um, and I think having those big name clients, if you can get those as an individual, you eliminate a lot of doubt in other big
true.
companies when they look at, like you said, some might want an agency for a credibility standpoint. But if you're an individual that's worked with these big brands, you kind of reduce some of that doubt that they may have.
No, I think that's a great point. Because that's the same question that I have most of the time. Um, is like I've gotten a lot of it because of doing stuff like this, like my
Hmm.
podcast or doing content on social media, but all of it is tied to my personality or my voice or my perspective. And it's like, okay, when you go slap a business name over the top of that, you basically have to, I mean, for our branding clients, we would say you kind of have to start over a little bit because people now have
Yeah,
to reassociate with something new. So that's why I've been so hesitant. And I'm like, I'm even pulling stuff back where I'm like, well, now this is my YouTube channel is now Cameron Davis. It's not Power anymore. It's Cameron Davis for that
yeah,
reason. So I appreciate that. Like your take on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think it all just depends. Like, there's no right or wrong way. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like where you want to take it and what works for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think this was super fun. I always ask to close out. I always ask the same question, and the question is, "What does creativity mean to you?" And you get a chance to answer it however you want, and as broad, as loose, as abstract as you want.
That's a great question. I think I would say for me, creativity just means taking some of those emotions or feelings you have inside that may not be like physical, and finding a way to personify them through something that is physical, whether
Mhm.
that be like physical art, whether it be even like writing or something, or music is like physical in a way, And so I think that's how I view it is like I'm using it as a vehicle to express what I'm feeling inside in a way that someone else can see and they can have their own feelings based on how they interpret it.
Dang, I've never had an answer like that.
That was just off the cuff, but that's kind of how
No,
I
that's
think of it.
good. That's good. I actually love that. I'm gonna have to take that one back and think on it.
Yeah, do it.
No, I think that's good. So, do you have anything that you want to plug? You want to let people know that's coming up for you?
I mean, not too much to plug. I guess just all my socials and
Okay,
websites, just first and last name, iandeloney.com and at Ian Deloney on everything. So check out my work if you haven't seen it.
dope. Yeah, Ian's dope. He's really dope. He's like you said, you've worked with some really cool big name clients, so it's cool to see the work your caliber of work in that lane. So,
Thank you, man. I really
yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've it's been fun being in contact with you and seeing like I'm telling you, I love seeing other people's talent and just getting to witness it, which is why a piece of why I love social media the way it used to be, where you can just have your friends and like
Yeah.
actually get to check out what their work is and like what's going on in their lives. So I do try to scoot over to your page and like check it out every once in a while, see what you're working on. So
Likewise,
yeah,
man. I always love seeing what you're putting out.
yeah. So I appreciate you, Ian, for sitting with me today. This was really fun.
Yeah, of course,
Thanks for the
man. Thanks for
chat.
having me. It was a blast.
Yeah. Peace. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Creative Questions. Like, comment, or subscribe to allow us to keep making more episodes. I appreciate you for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.